Everyone to the Murray City Municipal Council Committee of the Whole meeting for May 13th, 2025. Councilmember Paul Pickett will be here. He's just running a little late. The first thing I need is the approval of the minutes for the Committee of the Whole for April 15th, 2025. I will take a motion and a second. Was there any corrections or anything that anybody saw that needs to be mentioned? Okay, then I will take a motion and a second.
I move to approve the agenda, or the minutes of Committee of the Whole of April 13th, 2025.
A second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Then they have been approved and we'll go on to our first discussion item. It is with Murray Senior Rec Center report. Hal Luke will be presenting. Hi, Hal. 10 minutes.
10?
Yep. We're giving you 10 minutes. Would you like to introduce your family behind you?
I have my oldest daughter
The favorite number.
from,
Let's start.
she lives in Harriman. And then my second oldest daughter with her husband, and they're from upstate New York.
Welcome. Oh, you're a pro. You got it.
Maybe,
He's practiced that.
maybe something. There it is. Except it didn't open, it should have been. Okay, let's try it again. Is my minute time started yet?
Nope. I will tell you when it will start.
There we go, okay.
I heard we're supposed to practice. Hal, that's not right.
That's
That's not what they want to hear.
Hal, you used up my 3 minutes. Jeez, now I have no time to talk.
Okay, all right.
Oh dear.
That's good, isn't it? I love it.
Now I gotta make it through here, right? Okay. Well, I thank you for being able to join me and my family this afternoon, and allowing me to tell a little bit about the life here at the Murray Senior Center. To start with, if I get this thing working right, see, yeah. So on March 14th, that was a Friday, we had a special St. Patrick's Day meal, just to spend some of your money on. So then, oops. Oh no, the screen is up on there. Come on. There we go. And as usual, April had some nice, good table decorations out there. And some of the table decorations even there, so it made it really nice. After people kind of got settled in, the diners, then we had I think it's called the Scariff School of Irish Dance. Entertained us for about 30 minutes. And the Irish dancers are interesting people, right? They have a lot of intricacies. One of the things that's really interesting about the Irish dancers is you see them with their stiff arms. Well, one of the theories behind that is that the Catholic Church had a great influence on the people for a long time, and they didn't like the young kids holding hands and stuff, and so they made them hold their arms straight all the time so that they wouldn't do this kind of a thing. So this group was really interesting and really good help for us. Us old folks, we could see them dancing and wish we were kind of like that too. Oops, I was going the wrong way there. So, but they had a lot of different dances for us, mostly the stiff arm type thing. So it was good. Okay, then after they danced for us, then we had a meal of corned beef and cabbage and potatoes and some roll. It was a good time. We even had a few people that decided they wanted to decorate themselves as well as the event, so that was good. But everybody seemed to have a pretty good time there at the event. Then on April 16th, we had another special event called Spring Fling. I wasn't able to attend that because I was having a little operation that day. So, but as I understand, they had a good time, some good meal on it. As you can see, the table decorations had some real good, some decorations there. Oops, I got it. One of the things about this one too, I didn't get any pictures, is Ken Uy, I think UI. He's a fellow center member, and he provided the entertainment. He's a concert pianist, and has started playing at the age of 5. And so he's real great. He can play songs without even looking at the music. He's so good. But he also currently helps provide piano lessons for the center. So that helps making people. But like you see, it doesn't look like him. That's not him there. So then on April 4th, we had a 4-hour bridge tournament where we had the normal, I think this is like the 3rd or 4th annual one we had. Out of those who played, there were 24 players. One was in their under 60, one was in their 60s, 4 were in their 70s, 9 in their 80s, 7 in their 90s, and then 2 of them were over 100. So as you can see, we get some good participation out there. And in this particular event, we had a situation where Jenny was turning 100 the next week, and so they provided some cupcakes and a good time for her to help celebrate. As we can see, we had a lot of good participation there and a lot of fun time. But while I was there, I had a little bit of a concern that I would just like to share here. So we'll go from there. If you look here, see what this sign says, please be quiet as you go by here, because this hallway goes from the lobby to the exercise rooms in the back. As you can see, there's no wall here, and basically when they're walking down here, they basically get interruption from the crowd that's going down. As you can see, maintenance people, and when they have a class, people will kind of mosey on down as they come by. That's why we have the sign there. And then, but when we get out of a class, then of course everybody gets out at one time, and so then you have a little more commotion. I realize this was originally designed that way, and who designed it, I'm not totally sure. But a suggestion I would suggest to you is, if possible, if we could look at maybe putting a door at one end of this room and a door at the other end, then moving this door that goes out into the courtyard, move it outside, and then therefore then we enclose this outside with a glass wall or maybe a half glass wall, because it takes an L shape here, and then it goes into this back door over here to this room, and therefore we could then have a little bit of a wall for the people to be safe. This particular day, that wasn't too bad because we only had one exercise class in the back. But in the mornings, they have art class there, they have ceramic classes, and there's a lot of people go in the back area for the exercise classes, and then a lot of people go into the exercise room itself. So there is a lot of commotion. So if there's any way to kind of maybe look at this situation, I would request that maybe try and accomplish that task. So that's it for today. I thank you for your support for the center. It is still a very good asset to the city, and we are very happy to have you give us support. Thank you.
Thank you, Hal. Do we have any questions for Hal? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
And thank
Hal.
you, family, for coming and supporting Hal.
Good timeline.
We'll see you next month.
Yep.
If not before.
And you can stay as long as you want, or you don't have to stay, so.
We'll see if we can put up with you guys.
Okay, our next item is discuss resolution of the Murray City Municipal Council giving notice of intent to adjust specified portions of its wastewater service boundaries, which it has in common with the Mid-Valley Improvement District, Ben Ford. Thank you, Ben.
Hello, council, good to be here. So, full transparency, this resolution, most of you have seen this before. This is a resolution that was initially passed in '23, but there was some improper paperwork that was filed, didn't get filed in time in the 30-day time frame. And so Murray City and one other entity needed to repass the resolution, so that's why we're back here. And to make it a clean process, so there's no issues moving forward, wanted to just go through the whole process again. So.
I thought I remembered this.
Yep, it got passed, the initial resolution got passed in December of '23, was when the
Okay.
final one was done.
Okay, I didn't.
So-
Okay.
For council members who have not heard what this is about
Yeah.
before, we'll go over it real quick, okay? So Mid-Valley has not updated their boundaries since 1947. They're making that change with this adjustment with the different entities that surround Mid-Valley Improvement District. So this resolution with Murray really affects two properties, 756 East Winchester and 6525 South Winchester, or State Street. That is the Sam's Club property. With the Winchester property, we always had it on our records that it was serviced by Murray City. Mid-Valley just had it on their records that they took care of it, which they did not. The Sam's Club has always been serviced by Mount Olympus Improvement District in their area. There's no taxation change with that one, but with the Winchester, there is a taxation change. So, this clearly is just defining, I'll show you the map here in a minute, but Mid-Valley's service area does not go north of I-215. So that is.
But Sam's Club is past that, and that's in Murray.
They
Sam's.
are on the south.
Oh.
South of I-215.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
So that their service area does not go anywhere north of
Because that used to be
I-215.
part of District 2, and now it's part of District 5, the Sam's Club area. Yeah, okay. I just have to recalculate that in my head. Thanks.
So that's the gist of why we were here. The slide here shows the two parcels that it affects, the two addresses that they had in their records that are being clarified with Murray with this resolution. So the process is here, we're doing the notice of intent of the council meeting tonight. Then there will be a public hearing July 15th. Before that, notices will be sent out, 76 notices in total will be sent out to everyone within the vicinity of these two properties. And then there will be two new resolutions passed, one approving the plat and then one approving the boundary adjustment at the July council meeting.
So nothing has changed. I mean,
Nothing has changed,
I thought
simply,
this was deja vu.
no, simply just
Yeah.
a clerical error
Okay, that's fine.
on a couple different entities' parts. And just to make it clean, we're back here representing the whole thing. So this highlighted area just really details the legal description with the two properties and the area that goes through Murray City. The highlighted line there is the new plat map showing that they do not go north of Interstate I-215 with the Murray border. And once again, just highlighted in the plat map that will be signed. And here is the resolution stating all of the above. And that is really it. I'm gonna answer any questions for those of you who have not heard this bill before.
Makes sense.
And you guys will be voting on this in the council meeting tonight.
Today?
Okay, all
I do have some concerns with you being an Angels fan with this.
I have a grandson who is an Angels fan, big time, oh my word,
I
that's
love it.
funny.
Okay, thanks, council.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, our next discussion item is an ordinance amending section 2.66.020 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to elections. Brooke Smith is next.
Hello,
Good afternoon, Brooke.
good afternoon. I created a PowerPoint. I do have a handout just so you can go along if you can't see the TV. Is that okay?
I understand in the way, but it's okay.
Hopefully the TV will. 50-50. Do we know why the TV is not working?
Because it's statute of limitations.
I don't know where you
Brenda warned me. She's like, you know, the TV doesn't work very well. So I'm like, oh, I'll print them out. So good call, Brenda.
Are you plugged in? Is Calvin plugged?
Maybe that's it.
Mayor,
Let's see. Oh, it's a me error. It's a human error.
user interface.
User interface, yeah. Okay, we're back up online. Okay, this is basically a house cleaning ordinance amendment for our election code. We're now in the election season, so I'm reading the code and saying, oh, we're not in line with state code anymore. So I wanted to make sure we are following the state procedures. The first thing I want to address, there was a question on what is a Class A notice, and I wanted to just take a moment to show you what happened is traditionally, all the codes had a different requirement. So whether you posted on the city website or your bulletin board or the newspaper, every code section had something different. 2 years ago, the legislature came in and cleaned house and basically said, these are the standards we expect from you. You either have a Class A, where the minimum we expect from you is to publish on the city bulletin board, which is out here in our lobby, your city website, or the state and the Utah Public Notice website. That's a Class A notice. If it's a Class B, now we're mailing things to people in a buffer zone. And then there's a Class C, which adds more requirements. We're posting signs, we're putting up billboards, and stuff like that. It's basically creating a standardization for specific day-to-day things that the city does, so the public knows where to find out their information. What the city did, or what the state did, is change the election notice. And so I have a couple of clarification things that we need to do for our city code to align with what the state requires now. And the first key update is when elections start, I'm supposed to put a notice about the general election and the dates to declare. Our code goes back to the traditional information, which also includes a newspaper or the utility bill or a couple other different places. We want to align with what the state requires and basically say, you're going to find the information on our city website, the city bulletin board, and the state Utah Public Notice website. So the first proposal is just to take out the extras and say, we're going to post it in these 3 spots with a Class A notice. The second update talks about the declaration of candidacy, and this really, our code follows that, but the state legislature also included terminology for a conflict of interest disclosure. And our election ordinance still lists the traditional filing documents, but never mentions the conflict of interest statement that's required by law. So we follow it, but our code doesn't follow what the state requires. So I want to align what the state says. So now our code will go through the D 1 through 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to add 5 A and B, which also addresses what the state requires. The third update is just a clerical error. We have 2 5s listed. I'm going to change the F5 to an F6 for that bottom section, so that's easy peasy. And then the fourth one basically says, after the declaration of candidacy, the city recorder is required to post in the newspaper. And I'm requesting to change that to the Class A notice. So again, once the declaration ends, I'm gonna post it to our bulletin board, the city website, and the state's website. There's no real fiscal budget increase. If anything, there's a little bit of cost savings because now I'm not taking notices and putting them in the newspaper. So, and depending on how much time and how big the notice is, it can be anywhere from $200 to $1,200 savings per election cycle. And then the action requested is on June 3rd, I'm gonna be presenting during city council, and I just request that you would adopt the ordinance, so our city code aligns with what the state code requires. And that is my presentation. I did have the draft ordinance in the packet, the city code with the excerpts, yeah, there we go. And then the state publication code requirements in there for you to do. And if you have any questions or
Are all the cities gonna have to do this?
Yes.
Or it doesn't matter, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter on the size of the city, correct? So,
there is one requirement for the city, if they make less than $2,500 per month or per year, they don't have to, and they don't have a city website, then they don't have to do that. So, because we make more than that, we have to post on our city website. So,
okay,
but yeah, it's really a house cleaning, nothing out of the ordinary. We just wanna make sure our code lines with this state code, so when candidates come in, they know what to expect.
okay.
Any questions? Okay.
Do you have any?
Oh, yeah.
Adam?
On the fence, if I have an issue. I'm just worried about, I like aligning with the state, I'm worried about pulling it out of the utility bill, just that is it gonna be obscure? Are we gonna get people that come back in like June 10th and be like, I didn't know I wanted to run for office? The one person who does that.
We
Cause
don't,
it's only 5 people who run for office.
we don't currently practice that. It's
We don't do
one
that
of,
anyway?
nope, it's one of
Okay.
the 5 recommendations, and I don't use that.
Okay.
I haven't used that in the
That's not gonna be an issue
past.
then.
No,
Alright.
people know if they wanna run, they're very aware.
They find us.
Okay.
That's not the person we want in office.
Especially my district.
Isn't that what it is?
I'll figure out how to log out later. I don't know how to log out. We'll figure out that later.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Brooke. Our last one is discuss a resolution amending the Murray City Municipal Council guidelines and policy relating to municipal elections. Jennifer Kennedy, 10 minutes.
So I have just come up with some language that I'd like to add to our council policy and procedures handbook regarding municipal elections and what council staff can and cannot do during an election. You've got a red line copy in your packet, which basically this is the language that I wanna add. Basically says we can't research for you, we can't set up appointments for you when it comes to your campaign. Anything campaign related, staff needs to stay out of. We can't hold functions for you, things like that, just kind of stay neutral during the election cycle.
Can't do a fundraiser or?
Yeah, please don't ask.
Amazing how much people.
I can imagine.
No, in a nutshell, that's what all that says, just, basically, we can do our council day-to-day actions, but as far as anything for your campaign, even a research question, we cannot help you with. You're on your own for that.
Seems.
Makes sense.
And that's like.
No problem with that. Any questions for Jennifer?
Support that.
Okay, well, that is it. Do we have any other items or anything? No? Okay, then we are adjourned
Till 5
and
o'clock.
until 5 o'clock, which is our RDA meeting.
So can we set this as a new standard that everybody takes 7 minutes when we give them 10, so we can get out early?
No, we're not doing that to Hal. We're letting Hal have his full 10.
That was good.
Okay,
With the exception
thank
of Hal.
you. Yeah, well,
Hal can
except,
take his 10, everybody else takes 7.
everybody, yes,
So.
I'll go with you on that one.
Welcome. It's 5 o'clock and time for the Redevelopment Agency of Murray City. All of the members of the RDA are present, the board members, as well as our executive director, the mayor. Anyway, so we're all present, so we'll get started. The first on our agenda is approval of minutes for April 1st, 2025. Do we have any changes? Are there any additions? If not, I would appreciate a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from April 1st, 2025 as stated.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none. We have approval of the minutes for April 1st, 2025. We'll continue on. Number 2 is citizen comments. All citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and email comments will be entered into the meeting record. Now is the time for anyone that would like to talk to the RDA board. Okay, seeing none, we will continue on. And to number 3, which is an action item, that is to consider a resolution authorizing and approving the Second Amendment to the purchase, sale, and development agreement for the sale and development of real property located at 5025 South State Street and 149 East to 179 East Myrtle Avenue, Murray, Utah, and authorizing its execution. Chad Wilkinson is presenting. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, Board. Grateful to be here just to talk about the project that we've all been kind of starting to see happen over there on the site. In the last few weeks, of course, you've seen the old City Hall, the City Center building come down and work begin on that site to prepare the site for construction of this project. Just as background for the public and for those of the council that may have not been here at the time, December 22nd, 2023 was when this agreement was originally entered into with the Triumph Group. This is a purchase, sale, and development agreement for the property that I just referred to, the old City Hall site. The address was given by our chair just a moment ago. There was an amendment, a subsequent amendment made in October of 2024, and the reason for that amendment was to further define the timing, when things were going to happen, when closing was going to occur, when giving certain benchmarks that needed to occur to ensure that the project would move forward. Fast forward to today, the developer has asked us for a second amendment to this development agreement that would provide for a little extra time. Now, this is a very targeted amendment. It's a very, actually, the wording of the amendment is very, very concise and brief. There are 2 things that are proposed to be changed. One is the deadline for submittal of a building permit for this project, and the other is a provision requiring that we have bi-weekly update meetings with the development team. Now, I want to go into each of those for just a moment. I said to you before that in that October 17, 2024, there were some benchmarks that were established. One of those was that the developer would submit a building permit by May 30th, 2025. So, of course, that date is fast approaching. At this point in time, the developer has, of course, as we've talked about, demolished that area. They've also submitted their plans for MCCD review. That's the Murray City Center District Design Review Committee. That committee reviewed their plans a couple months ago and gave the development team some really good feedback. There was some changes requested based on code, but also just based on good design principles. The development team has taken those changes to heart, and in response to the time that it's taken to make some of those changes, which some of them were fairly substantial changes, they're requesting that they be allowed to have a little more time to go through that planning review process through the Planning Commission. We did receive plans from the applicant today to get onto that next Planning Commission meeting. We're going to be reviewing those plans closely in the next few days to make sure that we have everything that we need. But that has been submitted. Wanted to mention that the developer has made efforts to submit that. So we have reviewed this request. We do feel, in light of really in the last few months, there's been some substantial progress made on this project, including demolition, going through the MCCD design review committee process, and more importantly, taking that information, taking those recommendations from the Murray City Center District Design Review Committee and implementing those. That's what we want to see. They've been cooperative, they've been agreeable to those changes, and that's, again, that speaks highly of the development team. So with that in mind, we are recommending that the RDA Board approve this second amendment to the real estate purchase, sale, and development agreement with the Triumph Group, Murray LLC. I wanted to mention that Jim Allred, representing Triumph, is here today. I think he'd like to speak to the board, if the board would like, give a little more information on where they're at in the process and some of the changes that they've made in response to the Design Review Committee suggestions. So with that, happy to answer any questions if I can.
Questions from the board?
I would like to just ask a question. As we begin looking at the process of construction, is kind of a messy project. It's not a clear-cut lines. We get done and we move on. Sometimes we're almost done and we move on, and sometimes we're all the way done and don't move on. It'd be good for the board and for the residents to understand the progress of the project, what it's been making, just to understand that this project is moving forward. It is getting some traction. It'd be kind of nice to just understand that.
Sure.
Better.
Yeah, so as mentioned, and as we can all see, the buildings, one important step is the buildings have been removed from the site in preparation for that building process. That design review committee, so in terms of gaining now what we term as entitlements, that's getting the approvals for the development of the site. That's where we're at now with the developer. So they've submitted their application. It's a multi-step process for development within our Murray City Center district. So the first step is to go to that design review committee. They submit plans to us. We take an opportunity to do a first review as staff. And as staff, we identify code issues and also suggestions for potential design modifications as we feel are appropriate. Then that goes to this panel of Murray experts that are design folks that have experience with design, and they make further suggestions. In fact, our current, I just was reminded in my brain that our current applicant here has served on that design review committee and reviewed other projects. So that it's folks like architects and others, planners that have experience with design. They give suggestions, and those suggestions then are made recommendations to go before the Planning Commission before they approve the final approval for that planning and zoning approval for the project. So we're in that in-between step. We've got the recommendations from the design review committee. The applicant has made those changes, has resubmitted to us for an additional review that we'll do before we take it to the Planning Commission to make sure we still comply with those codes. So it's a lot of procedural steps, but they're important procedural steps that need to occur before we get to that next step. Once we've got Planning Commission approval, then the next step would be for the development team to prepare those final construction drawings for review and approval with a building permit. Now, that's the part that we anticipate will take several weeks. So we anticipate, again, we'd be going to the Planning Commission in June, and then that would take several weeks for them to prepare those construction drawings. But we feel that this 90-day request is sufficient for them to complete those drawings, get them to a point where they could be reviewed by the building department. Very importantly, the steps, the benchmarks, it's submittal of building permit, not obtaining building permit by that time. So they'll have additional time once that's been submitted to go through the review process, get comments back and forth from the building division, and then once that's done, they issue a building permit. That's when the next date deadline kicks in. Once that building permit has been submitted, they have to close on the property within 30 days of the building permit issuance. So that's in your development, that's part of the development agreement now, part of that first amendment, outlines that date. So again, it's a benchmark that they have to hit in order to continue with the agreement.
Thank you.
In the letter that we received in our packet to you, Chad.
Yeah.
It was in the very last back of the packet.
Uh-huh.
It said that there's going to be codes for a setback from the road that CURS have forced us to extend the building on Arlington Avenue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Can we see what that will look like? And also, in the next paragraph, it mentioned about this would require the removal of some parking inside of the plaza area. And I'd like to see what that will look like also. And if we're losing parking, is that going to be a problem for those people that come into those medical offices or restaurants or whatever they're there for? Is that going to hinder the project, and is there going to be enough parking?
Thanks. Yeah, we'll do our detailed review on the parking counts, but this is one of the actual issues that came up at the Design Review Committee. We will have adequate parking first to answer that question. But this plaza area, the initial proposal was that this be a multi-use area, so you'd have parking that would occur there at sometimes plaza space. At other times, the Design Review Committee said, we'd like that plaza to be a little bit bigger. We'd like it to be more like a plaza. So these spaces can be moved around somewhat. I think the applicant has some drawings, some revised drawings that he's prepared to show you tonight. We just got them, so I don't have them prepared to show you, but I think he can show you what their latest plan is. But that was in response to the Design Review Committee. That reduction in parking was not a reduction, I guess what I'm trying to say, let me say it a different way. It was a reduction to actually provide better plaza space, which is what our Design Review Committee had requested and what our Murray City Center Downtown District asks for. It's those types of spaces that we want to have, gathering spaces.
Okay. And also, in the packet, it mentioned that, in effect, to provide RDA additional security and to cooperate as closely as possible in the necessary activity required to build and completion of the project, the purchaser will provide regular bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, progress updates to the RDA and Murray City, including but not limited to. We haven't heard from Triumph until just today. The buildings are down, but I haven't seen them come to a council meeting to tell us what was going on and why they are coming now with some issues that they had. Why wasn't the RDA board informed on some of these things until just right now? Why are we hearing all of this now and we weren't told, the board was not told months ago?
So the progress reports are part of this amendment. So
Yes.
so they weren't required before. So that's one thing we're suggesting as staff is that'll allow us to have better accountability, both from staff and the developer. We want to be able to say, when they submit, we want to be able to have accountability for us as well to say, yeah, we have reviewed your plans, here's where we're at in that process. So
Okay.
that's a new requirement. That's the first thing.
Okay, all
The
right.
second thing is that would be, these biweekly reports would be to RDA staff. So that would be a meeting that we would facilitate as we see as needed. We'll come to the RDA board if needed.
Okay.
We hope that as this goes forward, there won't be a need for those additional meetings with the RDA board because the planning process stops at the Planning Commission. They are the land use authority for this type of a building. So that would not necessarily come back to the board for approval. You've seen those plans as part of the development agreement. They're in substantial compliance with that. So this is just because of the timing that we're here.
Okay, thank you.
So those meetings, being part of the process now, will also help ensure that we don't have a third amendment, right?
That's the goal. That's exactly
Okay.
right. Yep.
That would be good.
Chad, did you have something? Hey, so let me understand the why as to why they're asking for an extension. Is it because of where this is being built, because it's in a certain area, so the city's more involved? Or is this normal as far as I mean, if you were building something like this down by the mall, would this require this much involvement with the planning commission and all the architects and this and that? Is it because of where this is being built?
Yeah,
As to
partly.
why the
it's-
process is being drawn out a little bit?
Yeah, partly. That is within that Murray City Center district, so
Right.
there are additional steps required for review in that particular district, so that's part of it.
Okay.
It's a complicated site.
Right,
You know,
so
there's a
we're
lot
kinda-
of things going on there.
We're kind of doing it to
Um,
ourselves a little bit.
So I think that in terms of this extension though, had we not seen those good faith efforts, especially in the last several months to make progress on the site, I think we'd be less willing as staff to bring a recommendation forward of approval for this extension. But we have seen that effort by the development team to complete this work and to move this project forward.
Okay.
So that's why I think there is a time where we'd want to have a conversation if we don't continue to see progress about whether or not we continue, but we have seen progress. We've had, so
Oh, yeah.
I think that in our minds, that's justification for approving an extension.
Okay. I have one question for the developer, if he wants to ask it, if nobody has anything else for Chad. But I do have one question for him or her. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Him.
Okay, I'll step in.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Do you want to bring Jim up?
Oh,
Sure.
okay. I've never met Jim before.
Jim's got stuff, Jim.
Hi. Hey, Jim.
Hi,
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
great. Doing great.
Hey, so one question. So how's leasing going on the first building?
Very well.
Very well,
Yes.
like percentage-wise, well.
3 out of the 5 floors.
Awesome. Okay.
And there's several people looking at the other 2 floors.
Okay.
And the 2 groups that are the 3, okay, Utah Cancer is one, okay, and Granger Medical is another. Okay, and they have discussed with us this past week of getting an imaging center on the main floor and sharing that imaging center. So that would mean 4 floors would be gone and there's only 1 remaining. So that's the key component.
Yes.
Is
Huge sigh of relief right there.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, and the nice thing is when the demolition occurred, everybody goes, they're serious. They're really going to do this deal, and we put up our sign and we get a lot more interest in the project because they go, man, I could be right across from the hospital and get to pay my taxes where the hospital doesn't get to. I'm teasing, right?
You went there, didn't you? You really went there.
I couldn't help it. I mean, so anyway,
I think so.
yeah, there's been an awful lot that has gone on, and we have communicated with the staff. In fact, they probably are tired of hearing from me, quite frankly, because I'm calling them at least every other day and talking with them about things. What was interesting, and
Jim, could you speak into the microphone a little?
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
okay.
I know that. It's kind of a short microphone.
Okay, there we go. Is that a little better?
Much.
Thank you for reminding me of that. What's been very interesting for us is when we started to interact with the city and with the Design Review Committee, they had some really good ideas. And also the reviews that we had with the staff, they're saying, hey, we missed this sidewalk that needs to go straight through along this collector road so that people can get there. Can you imagine the difficulty it had for us? We lost quite a few parking stalls by doing that. Then we decided, man, I could not get my head around this plaza and a parking lot in the plaza. And it bugged the heck out of me, okay? And I just came back to the staff and I said, we really have to do a more exciting plaza. Let's get the dang cars out of here. Well, we took 1 story off of the second building to get the parking required. And you know how hard that is with the marketing people. We're going to lose, 20,000 square feet. I said, I know, but this project will be better. It will be better for it. And quite frankly, when we got the list from the staff, they had so many things that we needed to get done. And part of it was trying to get rid of that parking and figure out how we could get rid of something else. And it's only been 45 days since we got that list of things from the staff to correct. And I got to tell you, we've been working full bore, okay? I've had many people working on this full bore, and 15 minutes ago, I got the model to show you, okay? And it was just like, okay, let's show them the progress we've made. And I know it seems to you like it takes a while, but this is a big project. And I told someone the other day, I said, do you know what the architectural fees are on a project of this size? $2 million. Okay, we can't accomplish a lot quickly and make it work real well, okay? And so we've now got our application into for the Planning Commission to review. And so that should give us, hopefully, okay, we should be reviewed on the 5th of next month, okay? When we started this project, we thought we'd have that in April. Well, there was just a lot of drawings and a lot of time that had to be spent. And so we were delayed till now, and we talked with the staff and we said, we got to get more time, and all we need is 90 days from the time we get Planning Commission approval till we apply for a building permit. And that's record speed, quite frankly, for a 5-story office building. But within our firm, Kenny Nichols has done more mid-rise office than anyone else in the state, quite frankly. If you go out to Sandy and you see workers' comp and all those other buildings, we did all of those buildings, okay? And so from that perspective, we have the expertise to be able to pull it off in 90 days. And that's record speed for us. And I know when you're on the other side, I know some of you, Diane came over one day when we started demolition. She goes, thanks goodness you're going to get going, you know? And I appreciated that because it was a little tough too to go through all the steps. GL helped us figure that out and how to make it work. And also Brooke worked with us and a whole bunch of people. This has really been a great process of review. You really have great people working at the city. And so I thank you for that. I'm going to plug in this and show you. Did I answer your question appropriately?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. Now, I don't know where I'm supposed to look when this is plugged in. Did it? There it went.
It was there for a second.
What's it doing? There we go. Okay. We feel that the design work we've done in the last 45 days has really helped the project from the imageability and the articulation of the buildings. And we feel like we really have a beautiful project here as you take a look at it. And the nice thing is there was a requirement for like an 18-foot setback on State Street. And we were really troubled by that because we had it a little further back, and we thought being further back because the office buildings across the street were back 70 or 80 feet, and we were informed that no, you've got to meet the code here. We were 6 feet higher than the sidewalk on State Street. And so we've worked really hard to make this look like it's very welcoming. In fact, let's see down here, this is kind of the bus stop location where the bus would stop. You can sit in the seats there. You can go up and get into the First Medical Building. And we felt like by reducing the size of these walls, and I think Chad's the one that told us, we don't want a 6-foot retaining wall on the sidewalk, okay? And so we hurried and scrambled and tried to put this together so that it made sense from a landscape point of view. And you can see the street trees we've got, but then we've put these columns out, we move those columns and they're attached to the building. And so it's a softening of that, plus there's landscaping under that, that really gives it a charm that if we just went straight up with these buildings, we were afraid that would really not be very attractive for the community. So we did that here with the restaurant area. Oh, and there's one other thing. Everybody's been giving me a hard time about the taco thing. And so I'm going to have to get steak tacos, I guess. We're really striving to get, we would want, and we've talked to some real estate agents who represent some high quality, really nice sit-down restaurants. And we feel like if we got, and I can't tell you the names of some of them, but you know, it's somebody like a Ruth Chris or something like that, or some
Maggiano's?
Maggiano's, that we could, it would really become a major attractor for the project. And so, quite frankly, as we've submitted our drawings here, we say, look, we're going to custom design this steakhouse to their requirements, okay? Because they've got requirements for kitchen and however, so we've got the square footage in here so we can attract a couple of very nice restaurant types. There's a lot of other restaurants, which is great, which is across the park and in that, the other development. And so it's a process for us to make it at the base of the tower, you know, the tower restaurants. I'm pretty sure that we've already had some interest from restaurateurs to go into this space. And so we think it could be really terrific for the aesthetics of the project. Let's see, I was going to talk about one other item here. So here, boy, this, you know, if you had a steady hand, it'd be a lot better. So we brought these columns along here, okay, and pulled that section closer to the street and modified our building. We pushed it and messed with the square footage of it. And then we said, okay, let's take out the, let's take the parking completely out of the plaza area. And so as we have the plaza for outdoor dining, I don't have the drawings, but they were sent to me today for some creative thought on that from the landscape architects that are with Focus Engineering are studying that and getting the documents. They're probably at my office right now, so I'm going to run and send them to you, but as soon as we're finished, I'll get them over. So I think the nice thing that we've done also, let me show you the other building here, is to get, you see that curving road? I was a little concerned because the parking structure has to be rectilinear. It's the most effective parking structure in the state right now because it's got 3 entrances all on different levels. There's 25 feet of grade change from Arlington down to the lower street. I mean, that's huge. And so we can bring the residents into the lower level, all that are in the residence level, and 125 Porsches, which is for the doctors. Okay? When I drive by the other hospital, that's what I see way out in the parking lot are Porsches, because we know who drives those. Okay, it's not us. But, so the doctors will have special parking as well as secured parking. for their vehicles along with the residents, and then the other 2 floors will facilitate the office buildings. So what we will have, and as I mentioned, we took a floor out of that second building to keep our parking adequate for the project. Now, if you don't think we had an arm wrestle with marketing and performance and returns and stuff, we did, but they got it to work. And so in that 45-day period, we twisted their arms. We took out the parking in the plaza, which I think creates a much better community space. You know, I love this space by the City Hall. And I particularly like that short Christmas tree that you put up each year. So, isn't that beautiful? I mean, I just am so proud of this community, you know, and all of my kids graduated from Murray High, and it's really fun to work on this project for us. So, I think we've done a lot of good work. When we got to the townhomes, let me show you some of the changes on the townhomes. We even had to change the townhomes in that 45 days, and they're kind of more of a walk-up because of the setback requirements. So you can kind of see here through the trees, they're walk-up kind of units. So it was that way before, but it wasn't that dramatic on how we had to do it. So there's just been a lot of changes. Let me show you some of the renderings that you'll be getting copies of here. So that's always a crowd pleaser to see the vegetation, the street trees, and you can see how beautiful that's going to be from State Street. Okay, it's the other drawings that even we have on the sign on the project shows these buildings right out there, and we've been able to put those columns out there and kind of integrate the architecture with the landscape. So we're thinking that's so you'll get copies of all of this. And then here's the collector road that goes down through the project. Any questions so far?
Hey, we were kind of bouncing one question back and forth. What happened to the clock?
Pardon me?
What happened to the clock on the tower?
Oh, we didn't have a clock in it.
Oh,
Did you see Back to the Future?
huh?
Did you see what
Yeah.
happened to that City Hall?
Give
Yeah,
me
we
a
didn't, I'm
DeLorean.
sorry, we didn't have a clock in it.
What am I confusing it with then?
The one here.
That's right, we were gonna ask for an M. So if we ever won a game, the M would blink like the University of Utah.
Okay, if there are not more questions, we probably ought to move along.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did
No,
I talk
don't
too
be
much?
sorry. We're very excited about this project.
Okay,
and
very good.
And just really want to see it come to fruition and
Great. So do we. Thank you.
whatever we need to do to support it, and we'll do it.
All right, great.
So,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Now, we are on number 4. Oh, wait, it's an action item, so we need to have a motion.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing and approving the Second Amendment to the purchase, sale, and development agreement for the sale and development of real property located at 5025 South State Street and 149 East to 179 East Myrtle Avenue, Murray, Utah, and authorizing its execution.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
No, I'm excited.
Okay, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Even though there isn't a clock. All right, now we are on number 4, which is a discussion item. So we are having a discussion regarding details to be included in the parking agreement between the redevelopment agency of Murray City, and Rockworth Companies. Chad, it's you, and
Yeah, we're, Alvan's just getting me hooked up here with the, just a very brief slide here we're just going to show in a second. But just to give some background, you know, we've already approved 3 of the agreements that will guide the development of Block 1. We've talked about those in the past. We have our development agreement. We have 2 of our disposition agreements that have been approved. We have the, the disposition agreement and the participation agreement are the other 2. So tonight, we want to talk about that 4th, which is the parking agreement. Now, this one's a little bit unique. We've talked about this a little bit in the past, but we can't actually enter into the parking agreement until the property has changed hands, until that closing occurs, because this is an agreement that would provide use of the property once it has become the developer's property. So because of that, we have some extra time in this process to look at the parking agreement. In addition to that, we've heard concerns that have been expressed by the RDA board as we've met with you individually, and those are good concerns. And we thought that would be great for us to have the developer here tonight. We've got representatives of Rockworth in the audience tonight to just have a discussion about your concerns, talk a little bit about some of the things you've expressed to us, and just get some answers and some back and forth dialogue with the developer. So with that, this is the list of things that we've heard from you, from the RDA board, as we've discussed the parking agreement. Of course, we had provided a draft parking agreement to you back in April with that documentation that we gave on the other agreements. There are still some issues that we're working out related to the legal language of the document that really have more to do with making sure that both the attorneys on both sides are both happy with that, just the legal wording. But there are a lot of these details that are not those attorney-related issues. They're just nuts and bolts type related issues of that agreement. So we wanted to talk about those. We have a list of those on the board, or on the screen, excuse me. Hours of the use of parking, potential for event parking beyond standard hours, enforcement responsibilities and processes, security measured, secured access. So with that, that's our list, and we just want to facilitate a discussion. So we'd love to have the applicant come up and give you a chance to ask any questions you have. If we've missed one of the concerns that you've expressed to us over the past several weeks as we've been talking about this, please let us know. We tried to look at our notes and make sure we got those concerns. Or if there's something else that's come up as you've been considering this, we're happy to discuss that as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce Sarah and her team from Rockworth, or whoever's going to represent. Oh, yeah, it is Sarah, okay. I didn't see if Jake snuck up here or something too. So Sarah's here, and we're happy to have that conversation.
Sarah, thank you for being here.
Of
We
course.
appreciate that. Then we have had a lot of concerns and issues around parking. I think that's my biggest concern of this development.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is I'm really concerned we're just not going to have enough.
My hope is that we address that tonight and that there is no concern after this meeting. I apologize, my computer crashed today, so I'm working on this borrowed computer, and it doesn't seem to be working either, so we might have to. So my thought was maybe we could give you guys a little update, and hopefully in the update, it would maybe answer some of the questions about parking throughout, including some of the lists that Chad had. But just want to share. Sure. Cheryl and Harold trade you computers. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Oops, sorry,
All right, while he plugs in, first and foremost, we have hired the entire team. So we have all of the engineers, architect, we have the design team picked out. And one thing we did do that isn't a requirement, but we wanted to let you know, and it kind of has to do with parking a little bit, is we hired a green consultant. So we will be seeking an Energy Star standard at the very, very least. So making sure that the building is, achieving energy practices, green practices throughout the project.
That's
So
good.
this is the design team. Just wanted to show you guys who you will be working with, we will be working with throughout the project. We are working actively with the city on the schematic design set of plans. So we haven't made any changes. We're just currently working on the drawings to the buildings we've already shown you. Those will be coming into the city, to your staff, early July. So pretty soon. So hard at work with the design team, making sure that these renderings come to life in drawing form. So this site plan is not new to you all. It's kind of two levels shown on one page. So the left-hand side is showing you the level 1 on-grade site plan. And then the right-hand side is showing you the underground parking.
Could you go to presentation mode, please?
Yes. Let's see if that'll.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the right-hand side of the screen is showing you the underground parking. And the yellow area is meant to highlight specifically the city employee stalls that are called out in this agreement. So 32 employee parking stalls. There's a ramp that will ramp down into that area. There's a teeny tiny area that says up, and I don't think in the presentation mode I can use my cursor, but essentially kind of at the bottom of the screen, right above where it says project summary, there's a little ramp. That's actually going to be a parking garage that is access controlled just for city staff parking. Now, here's the kicker. We would love to be able to use this parking lot as well. We would love to be able to use the parking lot for some restaurant space. We expect this to be a busy site after hours, especially, nights and weekends. But if you all say you need this parking exclusively for you, understood. So we're not trying to make this difficult. We're not trying to make this hard. We understand this parking is very important to you all. We will make sure that our residents do not park here. It'll be a nightmare to police. We will not allow overnight parking, but we will police it. So we will have on-site property management. A good example of this is our 21s project. It's located at 2100 South and 2100 East in Salt Lake City. So we have a mix of uses there with on-site property management. I actually headed over there today because we had a retail tenant who called and said, you guys have a residential tenant who has been parked overnight in front of my front door, come and grab them. We went over, figured out who the tenant was. They got a ticket because that's not in their lease, right? So we worked with them to get that car out as soon as we could. So we will police it. We have on-site management. But the bottom line is our residents will not be allowed to park there. They will have a separate garage with a separate garage door that will access into their area. So their fob will not open the garage door into y'all's parking area. I wrote down all of the questions so we could try to kind of answer them as we go. Hours of operation, up to you all. The agreement right now says 7:30 to 5:30. Do you guys need 6 to 6? Willing to work with you. Again, not trying to make this hard. Whatever is best for your city and your hours. Enforcement, we kind of went over that. We will police it. We have on-site management. Security, this is going to be a fully access controlled building for you all as well. So if we were to open it up, it would only be open for certain hours, but your key fob would access I'm going to exit presentation mode just so I can show you with my cursor a couple of things. So let's see. We're going to do a little zoom here. Okay.
Perfect, yep.
So this side of the building shows a little staircase, and this is actually an elevator core. So this is the parking garage, so you'd go down into the ramp, down this ramp. This is gonna be the parking garage door, sorry, here. So down the ramp, parking garage door into the city parking area. So this door will be accessed one of two ways, either a sticker on your car window or, actually technically three ways, a fob. The last way would be an app on your phone. So this is what we use with all of our residential residents now. We love the app on the phone and the sticker on the window. That's kind of our ideal method. And then that phone app would also allow you for the access control to get in and out of the elevator and the staircase. That way random people aren't coming in and out of that area as well. So security-wise, this is gonna be a fully secure area. We will have, our own cameras and such. If the city wanted additional cameras, we would be willing to discuss that. I think one other issue that came up is the assignment of stalls, and I'm happy to assign them for you guys. Could be really fun. So, anyway, I think that's really the list. Any other questions?
Yes, we know we're giving up about 15 stalls in this project. The numbers differ, but whatever the number is, she says 23, I say it's 15. Will the surface parking will that be open to the public?
Yes, we're not going to police the surface parking. The surface parking will not be open to our residences necessarily. Could somebody from the city park there and walk across the street and use it? Certainly. Would we like to keep it open for our retail and restaurant uses, office uses? That's what it's there for. So am I going to police that a city, person comes and parks there? Not necessarily. So it's not a public parking lot, if that makes sense, but are we policing if the city comes and parks there? Not necessarily.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions?
I have a question on the logistics of so if we open it up for restaurants and whatnot to use it after 5:30.
Yes.
How does that work with the fob? Is the fob just, you don't need a fob at that hour, or?
Yep, so it would just be very specific hours posted. So there's some parking garages in Salt Lake that are like this, where it'll say like 4 to midnight, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can enter a certain stair tower, you can get your car. But if you don't get your car is quite literally like locked into that area. And you're not getting in the stair tower to get back to your car. So we would have to work out the logistics, but yes, we would like to utilize some of it as overflow parking, but not for our residences, like I mentioned.
Okay, I have some questions.
Yeah.
So if we have a planning commission meeting or a city council meeting, will they be able to leave their cars, and if it goes beyond 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9, 10? Because some planning commission meetings do go beyond those hours, and they use those parking structures, the 32. Will they be able to get in and out?
Absolutely.
Okay, and also employees that stay later, even into the wee hours, will they still have a parking stall there for their use?
I guess it'll depend on how you guys divvy up who gets the parking stalls, but the general answer from Rockworth is yes, the parking stalls are yours.
Okay.
At the hours you choose.
Okay. And also, if there is a city event with citizens or the employees, will they be allowed to park in the parking structure? If there's a city event or anything like that?
Are you talking about the specific yellow area or
the yellow area and the other area?
The other area
Both
is
areas.
only residential. The city will not be allowed to park. Nobody who is public will be allowed to park in this area. That is for our residences
Right.
only, residential users only. The city will absolutely be allowed to park in the yellow area as well as on top of this
Okay,
during events.
okay. And then you also said there will be 24/7 security in the parking structure, in the city's parking structure, correct?
Access control security, not a physical human being.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it. And whoever gets those key fobs will be up between you and the administration, correct?
It's really just, we'll be provided with that number of key fobs, and it'll be up to us. We'll have to
Okay.
decide that as a city of who'll have access to that garage area.
But my
Okay.
offer still stands.
But,
I'm happy
yeah,
to.
Sarah has agreed to sign those out if you'd like, so
Okay. Okay.
it could be like the lottery yesterday for the pick, you know? I don't mean to bring that up, it's a sore spot, but ping pong balls.
So everybody's gonna be disappointed at the end, is what you're
That's
saying?
right.
I think there could be some flexibility there too. It could be that you guys have a few extras, people could share stalls. It can be up to you guys how those stalls are utilized.
Okay.
Other questions for Sarah?
I think the bottom line here is we hear you. We don't want this to be a pain point. We want to work with you. So we appreciate you guys having us tonight, and we've been at a lot of these meetings, so thank you for your time.
Is there going to be EV stations at all? And if there, how many will there be?
Yes, there will be EV stations throughout the site as well as conduit for future EV. For the specific city parking, we are replacing parking that doesn't have EV. So the intention is not to have EV in the city stalls specifically. We spoke with the city earlier today. If the city stalls would like to have EV, it's quite an expensive undertaking. So we would ask that the city help to pay for additional EV stalls. But the site itself will absolutely have EV and additional conduit for the future potential EV stalls. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect.
Okay, I guess we're,
Thank you.
thank you, Sarah. We really appreciate your input. And your working with us. This
So
is
just one
hard.
last request from RDA staff would be if you have any feedback on those specific items, hours of operation, et cetera, this would be a great time for you to give that to us. We'd love to take that back as we finish up our negotiations on this. We'd like to bring this we can't enter into the parking agreement until the property is closed, but we can certainly get the agreement finalized and bring it back to you for adoption, authorizing us to enter into that agreement when that time occurs. And we'd like to do that as soon as the next meeting. As Sarah has shown, Rockworth is moving along steadily on this development, and we expect that we don't want that parking agreement to hold up those future steps. So if you have that feedback, I have a pen and a paper I'm happy to write down.
Well, I think the parking for the 32 stalls for the city, I think that should be a 24/7 for the city employees. If we have some employee coming in at 3 at night, in the evening, mid-morning, whatever, I think that should be an automatic employee parking lot for the employees 24/7. So if they need to get in here, they can get in and they could go park in there for the security to get. That's my feeling. I think it should be the city's employees' parking lot and no one else.
Thank you. Any other feedback?
They will
on
also
that?
have, the employees will also have our surface parking as well.
That's right, yeah.
So it's not just the 32. So.
I think, and we've heard from Rockworth that they're open to some of these ideas. I would say that from the perspective of an economic development perspective, there is one time when our parking hours will have that little bit of conflict between residential and commercial use, and creating in those evening hours, when you have restaurants and things that we hope they're going to be open and creating that active environment in our downtown, having a few extra parking spaces for commercial tenants to be able to use, I think there is some style to that, and I think that's something that we'd certainly like to explore with appropriate timing for city employees, for sure.
Yep, I'm open to that. Like, I think we need to maximize
I do
how
too.
much we're using the space frequently. I don't want to see an empty parking lot for 30 to 70% of the day, or 50% of the day. I want people in spots regularly.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense in terms of the cost of those parking spots. So I think they need to be utilized as well.
And I think they will be when the city employees are here, starting at 6 in the morning until 8 at night. And we're still here. And those parking lots, that parking spaces will be utilized.
I think maybe the time, just to piggyback off of what Chad said, maybe the only time we would like to request it would be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 PM to 10 PM even. And that would be the time that the garage is open for just even the restaurant uses, right? We're trying to kind of open just for the push-pull of the busy evenings. Our goal is to kind of draw in the best of local and regional restaurants and retailers. And so we are going to have a very full site at those times. It will attract better restaurant users if we are able to say we have more parking available. So I think we're looking for just maybe a hair of flexibility as you guys are too. Not looking to say that, especially on a Wednesday night, no problem, it's yours. Especially if you have city meetings, and if it needs to be closed on a Friday because you have a block party, it's closed, right? We'll work with you. So I think it's the flexibility of being able to work with the restaurants, especially, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that would be really helpful for us. But it's
I'm
not
just thinking of our Christmas event.
Done.
Our Christmas tree
Christmas is yours.
event, block parties.
Yeah, understood.
Anything like that if we could use those spaces up, that would be great.
Understood.
For those that come for these events.
Yeah, understood. And I think we'll just work with you. I think there's already a provision in there. We'll work with GL, but, any short-term notice, I'm not even opposed to a 24-hour notice of you guys need to utilize it. It's yours. We're not trying to make this difficult. We just want to be able to have it, because what will end up happening is they'll park in your parking lot or they'll park on the street and walk over. So it's kind of a give take, right? Is we'll block out that parking lot, but then they'll see this one or the street. So just figuring out for the restaurants how we can make it work for everybody. That's.
Any other discussion from the board?
My feeling is just like with Adam and Diane, I'm with the let's be wise about it. I'd love to see an exclusive 6 to 6 or something like that. I'm very flexible in the evening, especially the weekends. I think that makes total sense to be able to share that with them. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Thank you, Chad.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate that time and.
Thank you.
And being able to interact with Sarah. Okay. We have finished the agenda, so we will be adjourned.
I'm going to call this meeting to order. We have all council members present. Also, we have Mayor Brett Hales, Brooke Smith, our recorder, and GL Critchfield, our city attorney, as well as Jennifer Kennedy, our executive director. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Russ Calcula to do that. He's so excited about it, too. Russ, this is gonna be like SNL. If you do it 5 times, we give you a little jacket that you can wear. So, yeah, right, exactly. All right, our first matter of business is approval of minutes for the April 15th, 2025 meeting. Do we have any adjustments or corrections or changes? And then I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the council meeting minutes from April 15th, 2025.
I second it.
I have a motion from Councilmember Goodman and a second from Councilmember Cotter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, the vote is unanimous. We're going to open up the citizen comments. This is for, do we have any? Yep. So, yeah, just open citizen comments. So feel free to come to the microphone. The comments for 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your city, your name and city of residence, and then fill out the form that Patty has.
Is it on? Is your microphone on? Green?
It is now. There we go. Okay, we'll start all over. Good evening, council. My name is Chanel, and I am the senior officer and founder of Stand Against Fear and Exploitation. Or we call ourselves SAFE, okay? We are a 501c4 nonprofit organization here in Utah. We are here to protect communities across Utah against organizations that use their status and their faith to shield people from accountability. I'm here tonight because I'm going city to city, and I'm not going to stop until real change happens. Recently, Wanda Barzee, a convicted sex offender who helped kidnap 14-year-old Elizabeth Smart, was found entering 2 public parks, violating her offender registry conditions. In Utah, this is treated as a Class A misdemeanor. That means a fine up to $2,500 and up to 364 days in jail. No mandatory sentence and no felony. Just one moment. Okay, we have no children in here. And the most alarming part, when confronted, she told the police, "The Lord commanded me to." That is the same excuse she gave over 20 years ago when she raped, sexually assaulted for 9 months Elizabeth Smart, when she abducted that 14-year-old little girl. This is not just a violation, it's a direct threat to all of our children in our communities. You should be outraged, every single one of you. Everybody in the state should be outraged. If you're a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, or even a human being. The data backs it up. According to the Utah Commission on Criminal Juvenile Justice and Adult Justice, high-risk sex offenders reoffend at the rate of 22% within 5 years.
Former U.S. Attorney John Hubbard stated in his expert witness that re-victimization for child offenders is 60 to 80% or even higher. This isn't a matter of if they reoffend, it's when. We cannot allow our laws to remain this lenient. I urge the council to stand up and support with me, SAFE, and advocate for a statewide reform and make it clear our children are not our commodities, they are our compromise. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to close the citizen comment portion of the meeting, and we're going to move on to a special recognition, and we're going to consider a joint proclamation of the mayor and the municipal council of Murray City for Emergency Medical Services Week. Assistant Chief Travis Botcher and Medical Director Adam Balls presenting. Or apparently just Travis.
I'll have Dr. Balls go first.
Chief Botcher is supposed to go first. I'm not sure why I'm going first, but City Council, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. We appreciate the opportunity to designate in EMS Week to honor our EMS and our first responders. As Medical Director of Murray Fire, I've held this position for the last 8 years. It has been an honor to work alongside such fine, upstanding men and women who serve the community and the surrounding communities of Murray with heart and passion and dedication to their jobs. This theme for this year's EMS Week is, as EMS professionals, we care, with an emphasis and a period, for everyone. I want to read just a little bit of the excerpt of this theme because I think it accurately describes what Murray Fire EMS personnel do every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our dedication and life-saving skills are put to the test every day. We're called to care in big cities and in small towns, in private homes, businesses, schools, and on our nation's roadways. Whether it's saving a young victim of a motor vehicle crash, helping an elderly patient who's forgotten to take her medication, stabilizing a construction worker experiencing chest pain on the job site, or treating an overdose on a city street, we're trained and ready to deliver a range of medical interventions and support because we care for everyone. Our roles and responsibilities are changing and we're rising to the challenge. City Council, I can attest to you that the men and women of Murray Fire are an incredible group of individuals. We appreciate the city's support of the agency. We appreciate the support and the honor that each year we get to dedicate this EMS Week to honor these fine men and women. It's a privilege to lead and help lead them to provide what I think is the most exceptional care being provided by our EMS agency here in the city of Murray, and I have a strong opinion about that, and I believe every day they rise to the challenge, and I review their care on a regular basis, and I can attest that if you or your loved one is injured or sick or suffers an unfortunate accident, that the Murray Fire personnel will respond and will do an incredible job at saving their life, treating their pain, and most importantly, offering compassion and comfort in their hour of need. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Walsh. Mayor and City Council members, I wanted to also take a moment to thank you for recognizing EMS Week. It truly means a great deal to our paramedics and EMTs to have your support and acknowledgement. The work that they provide, the work that our providers do can be demanding, both physically and emotionally, but they continue to rise to the occasion with professionalism, compassion, and dedication. We are proud to serve the residents and our visitors of our city, and fortunate to have a community that values and supports its first responders. Thank you again for taking the time to recognize the dedication and service of our EMS professionals. The second thing that I want to talk about is our EMS Week Pancake Breakfast. That kicks off on Saturday this week, May 17th, from 8 to 10 a.m. over at Station 81. Hope that everybody from the public and the council and the mayor can make it over to that. So. It's a great event, and look forward to it every year. And then the EMS Week proclamation to designate the week of May 18th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week. whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of the EMS team are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness and injury. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others. And whereas the members of the emergency medical services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of the emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, Mayor Brett Hales, in recognition of this event, hereby proclaims the week of May 18th to the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week. I encourage the community to observe the week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities.
Mayor Hales, you want to?
I'll just say thanks, Adam. We appreciate all you've done for us. You're awesome, and it's great being a partner with you and having you be a partner with us, so thank you. And then Travis, thanks for reading all my whereases. I got tired of doing those whereases, so I really appreciate you doing those whereases, so.
Thanks for letting me do it.
You did a great, and he cut it back, Jennifer. Jennifer always says, you can cut that back, so.
Yeah. Tried my
Travis-
best.
Travis took that advice and shortened it up a little, so thank you for doing that, Travis.
Yes, of course.
Any
Would
comments from the council?
Would you like a motion?
Do you need any help at the pancake breakfast or anything like that? Or
We have a lot of people helping out, but
Okay.
we hope that you'll bring your families and an appetite
Yep.
and eat some pancakes. You're always welcome to help cook and do anything that you want to, but hopefully you just
Okay.
come and enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
I will entertain a motion then.
All right. I will make a motion to adopt the joint proclamation of the mayor and municipal council of Murray City for Emergency Medical Services Week.
I will second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Turner and a second from Councilmember Pickett. Brooke, will you call the vote?
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye. And the proclamation passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Where is 81? Is it the new one?
Sorry, it's at 4848 South Box Elder Street, just right here,
It's across the street.
west
Oh, just,
Yep. of City Hall.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. We will move on to our first business item, which is to consider a resolution of the Murray City Municipal Council giving notice of intent to adjust specified portions of its wastewater service boundaries, which it has in common with the Mid-Valley Improvement District. Ben Ford presenting.
Good evening, council. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight. So just a quick recap of what we talked about in Committee of the Whole. This resolution you have before you tonight is to adjust just the service boundaries with Mid-Valley Improvement District. Does not change our city boundaries at all. This really only affects 2 parcels within Murray City to update Mid-Valley's records. Outside of that, does the council have any questions that I did not cover in Committee of the Whole that you would like answered?
Great, thanks, Ben. And if there are no comments, then I'll entertain a motion. No.
Yes, Gio.
Go for
So-
it, Gio.
Did we count the days right?
We did,
So
yes.
60, within 60 days will be July 15th.
Yes.
Okay.
Has to be at least 60 days.
Oh, I thought it was within 60 days.
No,
It
it has
says-
to be at least 60 days, at least. Yes.
Any other questions for, okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we consider adopting a resolution of the Murray City Council, adjusting the boundaries, portion of the wastewater, which we have in common with Mid Valley Improvement District.
I second it.
We've got a motion from Councilmember Pickett and a second from Councilmember Cotter. Brooke, will you call the vote?
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hogg?
Aye. All right, the resolution passes 5-0. We'll move on to our second business item, which is to consider a resolution adopting the City Council's tentative budget as amended for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, and scheduling a hearing to receive public comment before the final budget is adopted. Brenda Moore presenting.
Hi, Council. Thanks for having me here. This is the next step in the budget process of the many steps that we get to go through. Tentative budget highlights, just as a quick reminder, the general fund budget is balanced with no use of reserves. It does use $4.7 million of 0.2 tax. That is less than last year, so that's a good thing. The 5% property tax revenue increase. That's how I'm differentiating between the tax rate will increase, but it will not be 5%. I'm still waiting for growth. It comes in on June 8th. So the maximum tax increase of $23 on a $520,000 house, that would be the maximum. That's if we had zero growth. Murray's never had zero growth. We've always had at least 1%. So hopefully we stick with that. Employees will receive a 2.5% COLA. The STEP program is funded. Budget includes health insurance increase of a net 0.25%. People on the regular plan went up 4.5 or something. People on the HSA went down 1.9%. And because of the makeup of how many people are on each plan, it ended up being an increase of 0.25% overall. And the dental increase was 1.3%, and the city is still doing the 85-15 split. 3 new full-time employees, the police lieutenant in the general fund, 1 wastewater tech, and an arborist in the power fund. 85 position pay ranges were increased to be within 5% of the average market, affecting 162 employees. There we go. Fund summary, I won't go over this because I'll hit them all later, but you can see the general fund is balanced. The capital and projects fund is using 13 million of reserves. That is to be expected. They always use their reserves. That's what they're there for. And then I'll talk about the others. When you're voting tonight, the Municipal Building Authority and the RDA fund, even though they're contained within the budget document that I create, and they're on their sheet, you're not voting on them tonight. You're voting on just all of the others. Those will be voted on in their separate meetings because they're separate entities. Special revenue, internal service funds, library is increasing its reserves. Their capital funds are allocated to HVAC replacement as they need them. It's getting closer to having them all done. The central garage fund is using $150,000 of reserves. Their goal is to be right around $100,000, and they're over that right now. Retained risk, same thing, using $675,000 of reserves. We're lowering their reserves down because the actual cost of insurance is increasing, but the budget for insurance decreased because we over budgeted last year. But water fund, they're using 1 million of reserves, and considering they have 3.5 million of capital projects, that's pretty good. They're funding 2 million on their own. They have 3.15 million in pipe replacements and 55,000 for an electrician work van, and then a bunch of other littler things. Wastewater fund, they're using 3 million of reserves. They have saved that 3 million over the last 3 years. They knew they were going to do this big project, so they have been saving towards it.
Their charges for services were increased 9% for the fourth of their fifth-year rate adjustments. Stormwater's using 1 million of reserves. Last year, they increased their reserves 1 million, so they're kind of staying even. Charges for services revenue increased 1% to align with what they're actually collecting. There was no rate increase planned yet. And then capital projects, the big one is 1.8 million for some work over on 9th East and Wood Oak area. Enterprise funds, the solid waste funds, using 89,000 of reserves. Their reserves are at 74%, so we need to reduce those before we contemplate doing a rate increase. We're also still watching what's going to happen with the new transfer station. Murray Parkway Fund is increasing reserves 28,000. They are receiving 196,000 transfer from the CIP fund for equipment. They're getting really close to being able to fund their own equipment. Their golf carts will be paid off this year, and we have probably 5 or 6 more years of the irrigation loan that they need to pay, and then they'll be all on their own. They'll be able to fund all of their own, they'll be self-sufficient. The Power Fund is using 4.6 million of reserves, all which will be from bond proceeds. Raised the revenue 6% due to their third of 3 rate increases. The operating revenue is 2.6 million more than operating expenses. That's a lot because of the rate increases, but because they have also been cutting their budgets back year after year. 7.3 million of capital projects have been budgeted in that budget. General fund, this is the one that everybody really cares about. No use of reserves. We should finish the year about 26%. We already talked about the property tax increase, so the tax revenue increase will be 5%. The actual rate increase will be calculated after we know what the revenue growth is. Property tax increase is helping contribute to 1 police lieutenant, and I'm going to call the rest of it the running of the Murray Theater, because that is costing us more this year than it did last year, or since it's never been operating. Sales tax revenue, I budgeted at fiscal year '24, actual, less 1%. Still waiting for that recession. They still say it might happen. Everybody says we should have one. Hopefully we won't. Personnel costs increased 4%, or 1.5 million. Operation costs decreased 4%. And yeah, it's almost $1 million to run the Murray Theater. Just where it all comes from, you've all seen this graph before. Most of it comes from taxes, sales tax, property tax. Where we spend it, the majority, police, fire, parks and rec. Public Works is there at 10%. That's just Class C and the people. There is $3.5 million over in CIP. So if you added that in, they would be up there around the other percentages doing our roads. CIP fund, funding $18 million of projects. Murray Theater, I had to add this one. We're rolling forward $750,000, supposed to be done in June. Probably won't be done till July, maybe a little bit into August. So had to give them some money to work with. Fire equipment, $3.2 million. They had already saved 1.7 of that. Police equipment, $750,000. Streets projects, $3.4 million, going to go into the streets, sidewalks, and various other things. We're going to, still saving for the outdoor pool, $2 million. Public Works facility, we're giving them $4 million to cover some additional items from the original plan. Solar lighting on the Jordan River Parkway, it's a test section, 54 south to the Nature Center. We're going to install a pump and pump house in the Willow Pond Blair Well for $100,000. Hopefully the lawns will stay greener over there and they'll have more water pressure. And maintenance on existing buildings of $2.3 million, which includes $1 million of savings from previous years. So that's what's in the CIP. Meeting dates today, you approved the tentative budget and then you set a date for the public hearing, which will be June 3rd. And then we will also have a truth and taxation meeting. I have it here as August 5th. That's what I asked the county for. But we won't know until the beginning of June exactly when that date will be. Hopefully it'll be the 5th or the 13th and not some other day. And then we have the MBA meeting on June 3rd, council meeting. We have a few public hearings. June 17th, the MBA will, their final, the RDA meeting will do their budget. And then August 5th, we hope, the city council meeting, the truth and taxation, the tax levy. So that's where we're at. So tonight is the consideration of the tentative budget and setting of the public hearing. Any questions?
Can I ask you about the RDA budget?
Sure, you can ask. It's not contained in here, but yes.
Yeah, we're not going to vote on it, but if we wanted to allocate $200,000 for art in the MCC district, where would that come from?
Probably the sale of the city hall building, if you're going to do it in this area, because it'd have to come from CBD, because you got to keep it within the district that it gets created, at least for that. Low-income housing, we can do it anywhere.
Yeah, it has to be within that district.
Within the district. Might be one block over, maybe, but that's hard to get past GL, so. But it would be probably from the sale of City Hall. That my first question would be where, and maybe what is art that you're talking about? And we can hash all of that out, but that's where it would come from.
Yeah. Could we add that to when we approve the budget in June?
Yeah, we can add it. We'll talk about it in the RDA planning meeting, and then if we get enough council members who tell me to add it, it's got to be at least 2.
I believe there's enough council members.
Well, or we can add it in the meeting, as a addendum or whatever, however you want to do it, but.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Not so much a question. When I vote no here, it's not because of you didn't do an awesome job. It's a lot of work, I get that. But I'm still having a hard time with the tax increase because we don't know what the revenue is going to be. So until then, I'm just going to be a no. So not
Okay.
personal, I just want to make sure you knew that.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
I would like to move to make a motion on the resolution adopting the city council's tentative budget as amended for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, ending June 30th, 2026, and scheduling a hearing to receive public comment before the final budget is adopted.
I've got a motion from Councilmember Cotter. Do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, motion from Councilmember Cotter, second by Councilmember Turner. Brooke, will you call the vote?
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Nay.
Mrs. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Hawk?
Aye. All right, it passes 4-1, and we have a tentative budget. We'll now move on to the mayor's report. Mayor Hales.
Thanks, Adam. Just an FYI, our power department will be heading out Saturday to help with the Light Up Navajo, a week-long service project to install power lines in remote areas of the Navajo Nation, which most of you have been involved over the years that we've done this. It's kind of cool because you look at this and you say, people in Arizona don't have electricity, and it's amazing how they don't, and several areas don't. So it's kind of cool that our power department goes down and helps. The following week, so they'll be leaving, what did we say, on Saturday. Greg and I and Erica will be heading down there on Tuesday for 3 days. And if you want to stay busier than what you are, then hire an Erica, because I'm a busy guy, and she doesn't seem to care about that. She just kind of, I'm having fun, Erica, you know. But anyway, she just gets me going. We've got I can't remember his name now, who's going down with us. KSL's going down with us, to do a story on it. So, of course, she made that happen. So anyway, we're excited, and like I said, we have so much going on, and it's been wonderful to be able to participate in these things. Also, preparations are on the way for the Murray Park outdoor pool to open on Memorial Day weekend. Seasonal maintenance and readiness tasks are on track. Kim knocked on wood after he said this, but the pool is full and staying full. So don't breathe too hard. But anyway, we're grateful that that is the case, so that sometimes isn't. So right now, they're saying it looks good. So, and then you know about the pancake, we talked about that with the fire department, 8 to 10, you said, correct? Station 81, which is just a block west of us here, so that is my report. What's that? Oh, I'll tell you about the Army, yes. So Kim kind of messed that up. He didn't like the floor. And when we went in, Kim's a little bit of a perfectionist. And I guess because now they're going to do it free, he said, that's not acceptable, this floor. And I'm thinking, I was going to use it on Saturday, but anyway. So we're there. Did they start today, redoing the floor? So the floor, it just had some, it was glossy looking and just the lines weren't straight and that wasn't good for Kim. So honestly, I'm grateful that you took that on because they're doing it for no cost, which is correct. So they're putting in a new coating on the floor, will be done in a couple days. And then the iron fence that's halfway, if you've seen it, it's halfway around it, will continue on. I think that starts tomorrow. And that'll go on for a few days to finish the fencing. And then we're set for June 2nd at 10 a.m. Erica, is that correct? 10 a.m.? 10 a.m. And we're planning on everyone being there. And Pam will be making some remarks with me. And we have a full program, and it is going to be pretty cool. So we're looking forward to June 2nd. And without telling you a lot of stuff about it, it's going to be a fun opportunity. So we'll plan on, and that's before our next council meeting, is that correct? So June 2nd is Monday, and then we'll meet Tuesday. But anyway, that's where we are on the Armory. And the theater, I think Brenda, pretty optimistic, saying July, so I was kind of excited that she said that. She doesn't know, look at her.
I was optimistic she put it in this year's budget.
Say it again?
I was optimistic she put it in this year's budget.
That's right. No kidding. That would have been not a good sign. But anyway, thank you.
All right, thanks, Mayor. Then with that, we are adjourned.